Hello, hello.
Hello.
I'm Ash,
I'm Helves.
and welcome to our suite.
Welcome back, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's freezing.
Yeah.
It's cold.
January doom and gloom.
Doom and gloom. Well, not for us really, because as you guys are watching this, we're in Brazil. Living our best lives at the Coprinhas on the beach.
Exactly.
But
Not so bad times over here.
when we get back, I'm sure we'll be in the blues.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So today we're talking about things we wish we knew when we were in our 20s. Do you have any to start us off with?
I think I've got... No.
Should I start?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a big one. The idea that your 20s is going to be the best time of your life is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a big bag of shit. Everyone tells you that your 20s is the best time of your life and you're the freest and you're never going to be 20 again. And don't get me wrong, that stuff is true. You aren't going to be 20 again.
You're not going to be any age again.
But that doesn't mean 30, even 40 ain't going to be fucking great. I feel like I'm now a strong believer of your life will be as great as you make it, no matter what your age is.
Yeah.
And what you found fun at 21, you may not find fun at 31. And that's okay. Because it can all be fun. Fun is what you make it.
Yeah, I feel like 20-year-olds these days don't really have fun though.
They're dry, man.
Yeah, so dry.
They don't be up in the clubs.
They just want to be at home.
Homebody. Whereas I can relate. I like being at home these days.
Yeah, now.
But I did my 20s and I did them well.
Yeah.
You know? Now I'm looking at different things to have fun, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think we have to get rid of this idea that if you don't write a book, if you don't have a great career, if you don't have the marriage of the year in your 20s, that you're never going to have that shit, because it's not true. You can literally do other things.
People put pressure on 30s being old. And I think at the time, when I was 19, 20, I was like, oh my God, 30 was old.
I saw a TikTok the other day and they were asking young kids that must have been 19, 20, what year would you consider being born? If you're born in this year, you're old.
This, yeah.
And they basically all said 2000s.
Yeah.
And I was shocked to my core.
I mean, yesterday in the party, they were like, who was born in 2004?
People put hands up.
Well, yeah, that's 24-year-olds. No, I don't think people really put their hand up, but they were like, if you're born in 2004, you're too young.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You're young.
24 is crazy.
We are... I feel 24, you haven't really lived.
No, I don't know what I was doing at 24.
24, I was working in a full-time job as a
poor.
designer. I was poor. I was single. And...
I wasn't.
Yeah. And because I feel our 20s were polar kind of opposites, because you spent a lot of your 20s in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I spent the majority of my 20s single, because after I broke up with my boyfriend at 21, I only had one other actual relationship. Well, even was it a relationship? It was more of a situationship, basically.
Yeah, I definitely I had a lot of dating and then settling down.
Yeah. So I was dating in my 20s. I was having situationships, making mistakes, doing all that bullshit, you know? Whereas you were settle down.
Locked up, they won't let me
You
out.
were in the shackles of a relationship at that point.
Yeah.
Sorry, we shouldn't paint relationships as so bad, because they're not. But
I was doing up
housewife?
Well, no, but basically
Okay. Yeah.
not housewife, but living in sin. No.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that even I feel especially even one of my friends now, she came out of a long-term relationship recently and she's just fuck, am I gonna find love? And I'm people find love at 50. You don't know, your life is every year is a new chapter,
And you could find love now and that could be your person for 10 years and that's it. Do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily that's going to be your person forever. I think that's actually also what I've learned as well. Everything is temporary. I think in my 20s I was very much set on this is going to be my life, and then this, and I'll do this, and I'll do this and whatever. And it doesn't ever happen that way.
I think one of my other ones was plans are overrated. That's what,
Yeah.
and that leads into that, because I think that we have these plans, and God, the universe, whoever you believe in, is laughing at you.
Yeah.
Because them plans may not be what you have, and sometimes life is better than the plans.
It's true. You never think.
I never
what's on the other
thought I'd
side.
be doing travel influencing as a career, as a job.
Yeah.
And that's better than the job that I had as an interior designer, working late and being fucked over by my boss.
Yeah, you never think of the and I think also definitely when you're in a relationship and you're in that, you kind of can't see beyond that, because you obviously you're not gonna be like, oh, what will happen if we break up? I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. Like, you're not really thinking of that. But there's actually life beyond like pain.
100%.
There's a lot of life beyond like changes and these hiccups that you go through. You think that it's the end of the world, and then actually you get up and you're like, oh, there's more to live. I think I got that from therapy as well, because I was like, with my past relationship, I was like, I spent so long with this person, like that, it was like 10 years, so long. And my therapist was like, in the grand scheme of things, 10 years not actually that long.
No, it's true.
In your life. Like, 10 years is a considerable amount of time. But if you live to like 70, 80, that's like 1/7 of my life. Yeah. Like, I still have so much more. There's so many people to meet. And like, I think sometimes it's hard to get to that perspective though. Like, definitely when like, you've like been heartbroken or you've lost friends or whatever it is, when you've had loss, I think it's hard to get to a place where you're then like, what else is there?
I think it goes back to that saying, is like, this too shall pass. Like, nothing is, like you said, like nothing is permanent. Like, everything is temporary. Like, sadness is temporary, happiness is temporary. Like, but you just kind of have to learn to ride the wave of life. And I think learning to ride that wave and just like be on the wave of life is a really important like skill in a sense, because you gotta be able to just take it as like, this may not be what you get, and you can't, because I feel like if you live in a place where it's like, okay, cool, I have these plans and these plans are whatever, and you don't get those plans and they don't succeed, for a lot of people that can break them.
Need to succeed.
Yeah, you need to be able to just say like, cool, this new life is what I'm gonna have, because otherwise it can break you, and you can end up being someone who is very depressed or
and living in the
very
past too.
bitter, living in the past, because you don't embrace that change is inevitable. You know?
Also, just believe now that everything will happen the way it's supposed to. I think more in my 20s, I kind of resisted that a lot, where I was like, no, like, this should be this way and this should be that way and whatever. And now I'm kind of like, if I lose this, it's obviously wasn't meant for me, or something wasn't meant to happen, or I was meant to like be led on to something else. Agreed. So like, what is it again? Misdirection is a redirection.
Love it.
Moment of silence.
Okay. Okay, next one. Live within your means. Don't spend money you don't have to keep up appearances with people you might not even know.
I don't know.
5
I did
years.
that in my 20s. And
but like, I'm not saying you can't do it and be all right, but what I'm saying is, what was the point?
My best friend's mum yesterday said to me, I'm so proud of her. I remember when she had no money for the petrol, and look at her now. And I was like, she's talking facts. Like, I never had petrol money.
But
well,
I think like, as a rule, like, you do spend a lot of money keeping up appearances. A lot of people are going to credit card debt.
Now it's probably even worse.
Yeah, it's probably worse now.
To buy designer. We didn't really have to buy designer to keep up back then.
It's not necessary, because a lot of those people that you're trying to impress, they ain't gonna be there in 5 years.
Yeah.
And if you can live within your means and still have a great life. I'm not saying don't book that holiday on the credit card and pay it off, but I'm saying don't go to Hakkasan and spend £200 when you don't have £200 and you're working in Sainsbury's, and that's your whole week's salary, 2 months salary. Like, live within your means, because you can still have a great life that way. Yeah. And you can still prosper later on. You don't need all these things. Yeah. But do spend money on experiences.
For sure. Yeah.
Or spend someone else's money. It's better.
Yeah. Me and Leash were talking the other day about like I was showing her these things that I'd written basically from like when I was like in my 20s, and then also things from after my breakup. And I was just like, we were both saying that we're just sad for the girls that we were. And sometimes when I read stuff, like, I remember I was going through like my old diaries the other day from when I was like 18, 19, whatever. And I think one of the things that I look back now, like, I feel so sad for that like 18, 19, 20-year-old girl, because like, she really, for men, she really like, I don't even know, like, not that she gave everything, but like she really like invested a lot and expected her from those people, basically.
What do you mean expected her?
Like, I expected me from all those like lovers or like my ex-boyfriends, whatever. I really expected me from them. And I don't
understand.
Like, I expected me, like, what I was giving and my
Do you mean
person.
You expected them to give it back to you?
Yeah, okay, like, I expected like what I was giving to be returned back to me.
Okay.
And all the time, like, when I read these things, I'm just like always disappointed, always heartbroken, always ever, because they were never doing that. And I think I really couldn't understand it at the time. I was like, oh, like, but I'm giving like so much. Like, I love this person. I'm so loyal. Like, I would do anything for this person. Like, why are they not giving me the same back? And then trying again and trying again and trying again and proving my worth to them for all my 20s. And then now I sit back and read these things and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, you really have to be strong enough to leave situations like friendships, work, like all of these things if it's not serving you, because you'll end up years of like then self-loathe because you're like, I'm not enough. And I think I went through that a lot.
I agree. I think I went through the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I think I gave so much to relationships, and I think I also like went through a lot of situationships where guys would like keep me there for like a long period of time, and I'd stay with the hopes that they would make me theirs.
Yeah.
Like, I would stay with the hope that, okay, but just one
Do
more
one more
month.
thing. Yeah.
One more thing. One more.
It makes you feel you're not good enough.
Yeah. And then, and I will never ever forget, and I think I spoke about this recently with my brother's partner, that I remember when I went to therapy and my therapist asked me, do you like yourself, Ashlee? And I said, maybe not.
Yeah.
And I really didn't have that self-love, but I didn't know that.
No.
I didn't know that these things that I was doing, they weren't serving me, they were serving other people. And it had put me into a position where I believed the things that other people had said about me to be true. And I no longer believed in who I was and what I wanted. And sometimes that is a really hard pill to swallow, but you can't get past that until you realize it. You have to realize, like, I actually don't like myself. I actually don't respect myself. I don't give myself grace, because if I did, I wouldn't feel like this, you know?
And men are like not all men, but I think a lot of time relationships are the worst like catalyst of that, because
100%.
as women we really get broken down by these men who like
we give
a lot
more.
of the time also are make it like, I mean, not for, I haven't had this personally, but certain men will also like, they don't like you, they'll be like, oh, like,
I agree,
you're not pretty, or you're not this. Like, some girls like go through that where like that will break you down even more.
I think back to like one of my longest relationship, which I ended when I was about 22. So we were about 17 to 22, which 5 years had been together. And I remember, like, at the end of that relationship, I really did feel like shit about myself. And I look back at the things that he said about me, and I think to myself, like, did you like me? Because if you did, you wouldn't have said some of those things. But then also, I'm like, there's a thin line between dislike and control.
Yeah.
And the things that you're saying may not be because you dislike me, but it might be because you want to control me and keep me in that relationship.
Yeah, that's true.
So by beating me down and making me feel less of myself, because when I entered that relationship, I was super confident. So if I've now become less of myself, you can keep me there. And you can keep treating me the way that you're treating me, because at the end of the day, I think this is true of every gender though, people will only treat you how you allow them to.
That's true. Yeah.
And I was allowing myself to be treated like how that was a reflection of how I felt about myself. And that was because I had been beaten down so much within that relationship.
And there's nobody like older. Like, I feel like also at the time, like siblings, like my sister, like she hadn't done the work. She hadn't been to therapy. She hadn't really been through the same things, more or less. And like my friends hadn't either. They're all my age, probably going through the similar things. So there was nobody really to be like, you can do better. Whereas now, like, if I had a little sister or like my cousin, for example, or whoever, I'm like, get out of there. Like,
see, the thing is, so opposite, one of my friends, I think you know to them.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about her, I've known her since I was 11 years old. And when I first met her, she was a bigger girl. No matter her size, no matter how she looked, no matter about her bank balance, she had this confidence.
But you said she grew up.
She grew up in her parents that gave her that reinforcement, and I think that really changes things, because I think she would say to me, "You deserve better than this guy," and I would ignore what she said because I wasn't there. I wasn't there with the love for myself,
unless
and I think
unless you taught that, but like a lot, like 90% of the time, who's teaching you? Your parents don't even know how to do that.
Yeah. Whereas her mum would always be like, you can be what you want. You can do what you want. You're beautiful as you are. Like, those things, that reinforcement is important.
Yeah.
As a child, like, you need to hear that. You need to know that, because if you don't, you will walk through life without that self-worth.
And especially as a woman as well.
100%.
Because everybody's always here to try and break you down.
I agree. Gosh, deep. The depths. Let's move on to the next point. Okay, the next one that was about fucking money, but how do we get there? Okay, learn to love your loneliness. It will stop you from settling for a man that doesn't deserve you, or woman. And I think that's so true, and I see that within one of my siblings, because she can't be single. And the fact that she can't be single because she cannot be lonely, because she doesn't, obviously could be rooted in other things, means that she's always in a relationship, and a lot of these relationships are not serving her.
And maybe you've never been single.
She's never been single. Like, if she's single, it's a couple of months, and if she's single, she's dating. So there's always someone to talk to. There's always someone to keep her occupied. And I think that is a really bad trait, because it means that you cannot, like, you will settle for anything as long as it's giving you something.
I feel like we're like ingrained like that though, because when I read back those diaries and I think, wow, like I always had someone. It was always like, I love this person, I like this person, I'm talking to this person. Like my whole, from like being like 17, 16,
I agree,
to like 20 something, it was constantly like this person, that person, speaking to that person, dating, whatever. Like there was always somebody. And you think like it is a prime dating time, I guess, like you're just like finding yourself and whatever. But then I don't think I ever thought about loneliness in terms of relationships, like boyfriend relationships. I never really thought of that in my 20s. Like I thought it was normal to just be like speaking to people, going on dates.
But I also think that what you just said is like, that is, you just said that's the prime time to be like getting to know stuff. But getting to know yourself doesn't mean you have to be dating.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think for a woman, we are taught that it does.
But I think being outside more as well. You're outside, you're meeting people.
That's true. Yeah,
like,
that's true.
There's
more opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
However, I feel like when I took that step to say, cool, I'm going to stop dating. Because when I went traveling, I said to myself, I stopped drinking and I stopped dating.
How old were you?
27.
Okay.
So my later 20s.
Yeah.
But I had come out of a really bad relationship situation. I didn't like who I really was, and I was aware of that. I didn't like who I was when I drank either, because I'd find that I'd go out a lot and get really drunk because I was like sad. And then I said, cool, I'm going to go traveling because it's something I really want to do for myself, and I'm going to stop drinking. And I did those two things, and it forced me to spend a lot of time alone because I went traveling solo, and it forced me to face a lot of things about myself. And I think that if I had maybe spent less time dating, and because I think a lot of my early 20s, the dating I was doing, I was spending time trying to be the person they wanted me to be, not the person I wanted to be. So I wasn't finding myself, I was finding out who they wanted. So I was trying to make myself more, attractive to a man.
Yeah.
Whereas, and I wasn't going on dates and thinking at the end of that date, do I like this guy? I was going on dates and thinking, do they like me?
Yeah.
And I think if I'd spent more time alone and before in my early 20s and less time occupied with a man, that I would have realized a lot of stuff I found when I was in my early 30s, late 20s, way sooner. And I would have had a lot more self-value and a lot more self-worth because I would have taken that time. So I think finding that loneliness, like I remember when I had to go, before I went traveling on my own, I had to like do tasks. I had to set myself tasks to like get used to being alone. Like even being able to get on a bus and not get on the phone. So for doing it for alone, I had to do that.
I also feel like loneliness is really reframed now than it used to be, because back in my early 20s, like you said, like you wouldn't really be alone. You'd be out with your friends, whatever. Like I feel like it wasn't, and maybe because I lived at home, like with my parents or whatever, my family, I think it's different where you weren't really alone. And I feel like, I don't know, like sometimes I'd be like, oh, like maybe I'll do a solo trip, but like I never actually did it. And I think that like, I just thought that it was normal to not be alone, like just to be with people and dating people and speaking to people. I thought that was the norm. Whereas now you're like, oh, whoa, like actually spending time on my own is actually like really nice.
Exactly.
But you never really thought of that back then. Maybe because like you are more, like not more popular, but like you have so many people around your 20s, because like you're out meeting people, there's guys you're dating, whatever.
There's also college and university. Yeah,
exactly. There's always something going on. Whereas in your 30s, that slows down. Like the friends kind of like start to diminish. Like the people you're dating start to diminish. Like, so then you have less of a pool. So naturally you're going to be more.
Yeah, because they do say like as you get older, like you get more lonely because like people start to live their own lives, etc. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think, you know, just getting to know yourself is good, because you just, and also like you just don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Like I know so many people who were in relationships for like their whole 20s and then they get to their 30s and they're single.
Yeah.
And then having to that's you pretty much as well, like, and then having to navigate that life alone, it must be a struggle because you haven't really done it.
For me, I did always have good relationships with my friends and managed to like do that. But obviously I think that changes, like when you do come out of a relationship, that it does change. Like you definitely dedicate more time, because I think also you get complacent when you're in a relationship, like, and also everybody always thinks like, oh, you're with your man or whatever, so it's like that's kind of it. And I was always like away, because not away like out of the country, but I was always at his house, so obviously people knew like I wasn't in the area or whatever it is, so they were like but it wasn't like a bad thing, but it's still just like you don't have the same relationships, I think, when you're in a relationship when you're single. I mean, you can. I feel like you can do it. But it depends on, like, I think at the time I was so like in a bubble that I didn't think I had to cultivate and like really spend time with people.
I think if you had a relationship now, you'd be different.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think at that time I just thought like, oh, like I'm still friends with everyone, but
because even like when I
same.
went for drinks with my best friend the other day just to like catch up and stuff, and she was like, I'm really glad that like this relationship that you're in now, like it's not like your relationships that you had before. She was like, I still feel like I have you. She was like, I did feel like a lot of the time in our 20s when you had relationships, you were so consumed by those relationships that like we just wouldn't see each other or talk as much. And she was like, even though then we saw each other more than we see each other now, I still didn't feel like you were like there. And I thought that was really interesting because she's known me my whole life, but she's seen all my relationships, good, bad situationships, and she's like, this relationship I just feel like, and I don't think that's because like, shout out my boyfriend, he's a great guy, but like that's me. That's a decision I made.
It's actually true. Yeah,
like I made the decision that I want to still have the life I have now, even though I'm in a relationship, and I want to still have my friendships because
but I also think you
they're
appreciate
important.
it more now.
Yeah, they're
like,
important.
After you go through that breakup period and you're single, that's all you have. So then you're like, actually, why would I
you all my
give this whole thing up?
Yeah.
Why would I give this whole thing up for somebody who's gonna come and you never know, whatever. You know, like with your team, like your friends, like unless something seriously fucked up happens, like they're gonna be there.
100%.
So slightly it is like a little bit more important.
It's kind of like your friends or the family got any like you choose. So like, and I'm like, obviously we've had situations right throughout my 20s, like one of my close friends within our group passed away, and I think that especially like was like a big moment for us as a group to be like, okay, like we have to stay around for each other. Like it like kind of bonded us in a way. Like it was just like, these are your people, like they're going to be around forever, even if you don't see us all the time, like we are there for each other. And I think it's important for everyone to have a group, even if and it doesn't have to necessarily be like one big group. It could be like several different friends, but like you have people, you know.
I also think it's nice when people bring their partners like into the group. I mean, it's kind of awkward, I guess, if they break up, then you're like, well, bye.
I think that's where I've like struggled this time in this relationship, because all my other exes, I did bring them into friendship groups, and then it got awkward. So now with my partner, sometimes I feel like maybe I keep him a bit too separate. Like I want to like in 2025 like have him around everyone more, because I feel like he hasn't really had the opportunity to like even you, like who I'm with all the time, you've probably seen him a handful of times.
But I think it's also because mainly when we go out, it's like we're out of the country, so he's not going to be like, should I join? Like, or like work
yeah, that's true.
So
that's
it's
true.
not really...
But I think in 2025 like I'll actively like invite my friends, even like my friends, like you have spent minimal time with my friends.
Yeah.
Like except for Leash probably.
Yeah.
So like I said to myself in 2025, like I really want to make an effort to like bring my friends together more.
Whereas my friends are going to stay at my other friend's house in New York without me.
It's not
I'm like,
calm down.
No, I mean like I like actually bringing people together.
But it's nice.
So I think it's nice.
I think obviously
they can also have friendships.
Need to get better at that. That's something
I'm not jealous. I'm going to be in Brazil, so I'm like, if I was going to be at home, I would be jealous. But I was like, I'm going to be in Brazil. I don't care. But no, I think it's nice. Like, it's nice that people can like do their own things and like be cool.
I think at this point I'm like, okay, cool, maybe I'll start like bringing people together. Like doing more. Also, I think I'm also not much of a person who like celebrates myself even. So I don't do birthdays, things like that. So it's not obviously a lot of opportunities where my friends could all come together.
Yeah, but you have to make the opportunities.
Yeah, I know. You do, 100%, and I commend you for that.
Everybody comes here. Everybody does this. Everybody does that.
You're just like, well, we're going to do this.
On a random
You're
Wednesday.
all going to come and that's going to be great. You don't know each other? Well, you do now.
The other day I was like, how much is this to rent a minibus? And they're like, where are you going with this? I was like, I want to do a party minibus. And then Amanda's like, who's going to drive it? I was like, I don't know.
Oh my God.
Like someone who doesn't drink. That minibus idea is a great idea.
It was fun.
Yeah, imagine I just went around London and like every week, like once a month. Let loose.
I mean, that's too expensive. Maybe once a quarter.
How much is it? How much would a bus be?
I don't know. We'll research. How much? Let me
Maybe
get
for my birthday.
Well, I thought we were going to Mexico City.
Yeah, like another birthday celebration.
Okay, be scared and do it anyway. Some of my best life experiences have been because I took a chance on the unknown. And I think that's just like goes without saying. Like, I think if something scares you, it's probably a good reason to do it.
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
I think a lot of people spend their lives living in situations where it's just very mid for them. Like, obviously everyone's like level of happy is completely different. Like, some people want like to do very mid things and like not go crazy or jump out of a plane, which is fine. But I think there's a lot of people who just don't do shit because they're too scared of the outcome. And I think that is,
or like changing jobs or like taking risks.
exactly. And I think like we are both testimony to that, because like we've done technically you've had multiple careers in different things and still started again and still done well. And I went from I got my degree in interior design, did interior design.
Since you got your degree, you know everything. I did not get my degree.
And I wasn't enjoying it. Like I wasn't loving it. And because you're not enjoying it, you're not loving it, it means you're probably not going to be good at it. And your bosses want you to give your whole fucking life to something. And then I moved on and did something different, and now I love that. And like maybe in 5 years I'll be like, cool, I want to run a cheese factory. And maybe that will be my calling, you know? I like Gouda.
Get your cheese factory, girl.
Like I'm just saying, like it could be anything, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know, like take a risk.
Things pivot a lot.
Pivot.
Yeah.
Pivot.
Like in my 20s, even now I'm thinking like, I remember I used to want to do like the TV presenting and whatever. And then I was like, actually, I'm like too shy for this. Like, no, I can't actually do it. No, like I would get shy like in front of the camera.
Okay,
so
fine.
when it would be like me in the camera and have to do something, I'd be like,
I feel like you could do that now though. I feel like you've
hi, we're here.
there's 80% chance it's already raining.
Like all that, and then that changed. But it could also like develop into things that are like very similar.
True.
Career wise.
True.
And I also like, I don't know, I'm the person when people are like, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year goal? Like I hate stuff like that. I hate like, and this is kind of controversial because I feel like these things do work, but I also hate one of them things, not mood boards. What is it that people do in January? Like the boards.
The vision board.
I don't like vision boards.
No way.
Like,
I love a vision board.
Don't judge me, but I don't like vision boards.
No-key
I just
judging.
find it pressure. I just find it pressure.
Okay.
Like, I think it does work. And this is another reason why I hate like 5-year goals and whatever. Because for me, if I don't reach them, then I'm very hard on myself. So
I think that's the problem then.
Yeah. And if I do a vision board and I don't achieve what's on that, I'm going to be
I don't-
hard on myself. Which
Okay,
like,
I wouldn't do that. So that's maybe the difference.
is a bit, but I think I actually am going to do one in January because I'm like, do you know what? It's not that deep.
Should we do a vision board day in Brazil? If it rains, I think.
rains.
Yeah, if it rains. Well, we
Otherwise
can do it at the
it'll be
beach.
outside.
Do it at the beach with our laptops. Oh no, actually, safety first.
No laptop.
No laptop at the beach. But yeah, I like vision boards.
Really?
I just like the I think if you don't achieve it, you don't achieve it. Like it's no problem.
Well, Moles is like smashing her vision board. I mean, on my vision board, I put go to Brazil, and here we are.
Well, so funny enough, though, at the end of last
We did
year,
that Snapchat thing.
my boyfriend was like, "Can you make a vision board with me?" Because he didn't really know how to do it, but he'd been hearing about it.
Vision
So I
board
made
party.
one with him
Yeah.
and didn't finish my own.
Yeah.
He probably achieved, I'd say, 75 to 80% of things on his vision board.
I think it's also when you're seeing it.
Yeah.
Like,
his is not, he doesn't even have, we did a collage one, but then what he has is like a whiteboard on his wall and he has like 1, 2, 3, and he just sees the points. He doesn't have, and he just looks
no
at the points,
pictures.
no pictures. He had like, he didn't actually use the visual and just use the points, and he said that helped.
I think like, yeah, because you're seeing it, and even though you're not like, okay, I have to do this tomorrow, I have to do this tomorrow, because that's also, I hate that as well. That's pressure where you're like, oh my god, I have to get this done tomorrow. Like, but I think when you're just seeing it subconsciously, you're achieving it.
Yeah, which is why the visual or even the text ones are like good to just glance at. Some people do like their phone screensaver, but that might be too much pressure for you.
No, I think I'm gonna do that one.
That's what I'm gonna do this year.
Yeah, on one of my phones, because I think then I'll see it every day.
Let's do
But I
that.
think I also just have to let go of the thing of like, if I don't
I think
do
you
it,
need to let
then-
go of this immense pressure that you put on yourself.
Yeah.
Even sometimes with work, I notice that you do that. Like you'll be like, oh, I have all these campaigns, and I'm like, bro, if you don't send it, it's not the end of the world.
They make it seem like that.
And these are not the
I think when I
these
get
are not the puppet masters of your life, hun. Like,
when I get multiple emails, I'm just like,
and I think also I did think when you said that to me, I thought maybe because I have Stell,
yeah,
that takes the pressure off of me because I don't have to think about it that way. However, like there's times when I message her and I'm like, cool, I'm not gonna get this done today. It's just that simple. I'll get it done for tomorrow. And you just have to realize you're not saving someone's life if this doesn't get posted today. You know, like I think you have to take that pressure off yourself of like these people are like, running your life, because at the end of the day, Hells is in the driving seat. They're just a bus stop on the way. You know,
yeah.
you need to just like let that go. And also there'll be another campaign to next week. There always is. Don't run for a bus, 'cause another one will be along shortly.
Girls are like buses, miss one, there's still two, one
So
coming.
you'll be fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of work to do.
Next, inner work.
Yeah.
I might go back to my therapist next year.
I mean, good luck. You're gonna be poor.
Good
Good luck with that one.
okay, we kind of touched on this already, but there's always time to start over and become the person you want to be. And I think that's it kind of goes back to like what we said about the job and everything. But even like as a person in general, like you can change your fashion sense if you want. You can change your friendships. You can change everything.
Your hair if it won't grow.
You can change your hair if it won't grow.
You can, what is it again?
You can something if they said so.
You can buy all the makeup
that man can make.
Isn't it Mac?
No, man.
I always thought it was that Mac can make.
Oh, maybe it is. I mean, that would make sense. You can look inside you.
Yeah.
Find out who you are too. But yeah, you can always change. Like, I remember when I used to work in an office and there used to be a guy, he was like 45 and he was like a senior graphic designer. And he was like, yeah, you know, like 4 years ago, I just decided I want to be a graphic designer. I used to work in accounting and now he does that. And I was like, he's achieved loads in those 4 years because he put his mind to doing something new. Like, what's it called? Didn't J.K. Rowling write Harry Potter when she was like in her 40s?
Yeah.
Like, the Colonel created KFC in his 60s.
I don't know if that's real.
That is, yeah. Seriously, he was old. That's why he was an old colonel with like grey hair. I swear to you, seriously.
You're gonna have to Google this fact.
I mean, let me check on Google. But
the Colonel
created
Colonel
KFC.
Sanders.
No, I think that's
Isn't that
else.
his name?
I don't know.
Who's Colonel Sanders then?
KFC.
I think he is Colonel Sanders.
And I can confirm KFC in Jamaica is better.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. Colonel Sanders.
Oh yeah,
him.
yeah. He's created when he was old.
He looks like an AI guy. He looks kind of cute.
What? What, like a grandpa cute?
Yeah.
He was 40. Sorry, not 60, but still.
So maybe I've got 10 years and I can invent a chicken shop.
Exactly. So you can really do anything at any age and be whoever you want. And I think that, again, it kind of rolls back to this whole like idea of like your 20s has to be the best time of your life when you achieve everything and make all these decisions.
You have the most time because then they're like 20s have fun, 30s have your kids, 40s you have to be looking after your kids, 50s you're kind of like going downhill from there, so you're not gonna have time to do these things. Like that's what people think,
which is bullshit. Like anything can because there can be kids that have like created businesses at 12 and become millionaires who lose all their money by the time they're 30.
Yeah,
like people get married at 29, get divorced at 50.
I know people who are married in their 20s and they're divorced already.
Exactly. Like you just don't know what life's gonna be. So I just think let it go.
Do what you gotta do.
As our lovely frozen girl would say. Okay, we've got one left on the list. Oh, do you know what's nice? Do you know what's cooler than being cool? Being nice. Be nice people, man. Like, I think it's important.
I mean, do you know what's so funny? Yeah, a few days ago, I tried to comment on, I was trolling. I don't really troll, but I was really pushed to the edge by this series of The Ultimatum. And I decided to comment loser on JR. and it came up with a flag on Instagram, and it was like, are you sure you want... It gave us some flag, like, please don't write hateful comments. And I was like, fine. But I literally wrote loser.
There's nothing but he is annoying. And that's the season of The Ultimatum. I was shocked. But
yeah.
Anyway.
He deserves a comment.
He does.
Loser,
He's a loser.
I shouldn't troll people.
But being nice, I think everyone...
People are more nice these days, though.
I think everyone could afford to be a bit nicer.
Really?
Especially in the UK. I think people
online, I think people should be like in person. Like I've had a lot of compliments from girls lately, just like girls being nice.
I'm not gonna lie, I've not really been outside, so who knows?
I mean, and men too, to be fair.
But
online, I think people are mean.
I just think generally, like, just try to be nice. If you could do one nice thing a day, that would be great. You know, give someone a compliment. Like, walk through life being nice, because I think in your 20s, a lot of the time we spend a lot of time trying to be cool and, you know, be like the popular person still. That kind of trickles out of like secondary school / high school vibes. Like, still trying to be that girl, and that girl could also be a nice girl. You know? I think that's important.
Yeah.
So be nice in 2025. Be nice. That's my message to y'all. Please.
We should have like a be nice board or something.
Yeah.
Start like a...
Or maybe we should try like every episode to say something nice we did for someone.
What, like in that month?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
That's a challenge for us for 2025. One nice thing a month.
Yeah.
I did something nice the other day.
What did you do?
I gave the big issue girl £20.
That's nice.
Yeah, but I see her all the time and she's always really cold. Like, and I'm just like, she's always really polite and always smiling. So I gave her £20 for Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a new old person buddy, so I guess that was
you back on the buddy train.
Francis.
What, right before Brazil?
Gal like Francis, not doing well.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. A lot of doom and gloom with these people. But yeah, you know.
Maybe I should just sign you up to my grandma. She'll probably love it.
Yeah, and then I can take the
Pamela
time
will
off.
love it. Yeah, Pamela. "Oh, okay, well, I'll talk to you when I talk to you." Sometimes I'm on the phone to her and she just says, "Okay, well, I'll just talk to you soon." Like she just cuts the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, bye." But yeah, okay, guys. Well, thank you for joining us in our suite. It's been a lovely one. We'd love some comments on things that you also would like to have learned. Wait, what? We'd love some comments on things that you've also learned in your 20s. Yeah.
And what we should talk about next.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Bye.